And now another question for Reg Turnill.
Are you aware of there being any deliberation between the astronauts on Apollo 11 when they landed about who would go out onto space first, on the surface first?
Oh yes, there was a great argument about this, but it all took place before the flight. I was briefed by one of the top NASA people weeks before the Apollo 11 launch that it would be Buzz Aldrin. So when I did broadcast saying the first man on the moon would be Buzz Aldrin. And when I got to Cape Canaveral and got the press kit, a copy of which you can see over there, I was astonished to read that it was going to be Neil Armstrong and not Buzz Aldrin. And various things had happened, but one reason was that a man named George Lowe, who George Abbey will know well, had one day said to two of the other top NASA brass, you know, whoever steps on the moon first is going to be an immortal, just like Lindbergh was the first man to fly alone across the Atlantic. And we're worried. Buzz Aldrin is a brilliant man, but he gets a bit tetchy, and we don't think he's the right man to be an immortal. Why don't we make it Neil Armstrong instead? And there was a terrible row about it. Buzz Aldrin's father was a US Air Force colonel, and he went public. He was furious that his son had been displaced as first man on the moon. One of the chief astronaut was given the job of finding a technical reason for making the change. And he produced the reason that since the door of the lunar module opened inwards, it was much easier and more efficient for Neil Armstrong to go out first and Buzz Aldrin to go out second. And Buzz, being a wise man, accepted this as a reasonable explanation. But in fact, I'm afraid that was a bit of a fib. And that's why it was Neil Armstrong, because they thought he was a sober-minded citizen, a very great dignity, and he would represent the stars and stripes in all the years to come much better than Buzz Aldrin. In fact, Neil Armstrong is a nice man, but he's very introverted and has not been a success as the first man on the moon, because he just doesn't want to talk about it. He can't bear to be asked for a million times, what was it like to be the first man on the moon?
Next we have a question for the entire panel. So this is for whoever feels they would like to answer the question.
How long do you think it will be before we see a female amongst you?
There are already females amongst us. Unfortunately, they didn't get invited to the conference, but there are many females that I think qualify as aerospace greats. Certainly Sally Ride, the first American woman on stage. And you look at the space programs, the missions that just flew. A woman came back from the space station, Sandy Magnus, who was up on the space station. There have been many women on the space station. Many women have flown in the shuttle. And there are very many women working in the aerospace industry today. If you look at the control center today in Houston, you'll see it's very different than it was when Reg and I were working there during Apollo. You didn't see women at the control center, but today you'll probably see the majority of the people in the control center are women. And we have a number of women flight directors, so they are already among the aerospace greats.